Let's get more realistic here. A little while back, a business reached out and asked me to help them revive their channel. I took a screenshot of their channel analytics at the time, and this is what it looked like. You can see this long extended period of just flat. Even while publishing videos were being tracked during this era right here. Have you experienced something similar yourself? And or can you guess about when I started to work with this channel? Howdy everyone, Nate here, welcome back. I chose this client's example because I wanted it to be more realistic. I feel like we often see channels that were at nothing, zero, and then they spiked to 1 million views in 1 month. And while that's exciting, it's also not always the case. In fact, you see here, the average viewership was about 1,000 views per day. And then after I shared what I'm about to share with you in this video, it reached about 2,000 average views. Realistic, but attainable. So I have identified 3 primary reasons that I have observed over and over again when I work with businesses and individual creators that have a stagnant channel like this. The first reason I see channels go stagnant that we can then fix is your audience has moved on from your content, especially from channels that previously had a heyday. Maybe they previously got on average 1 million views per month, and then gradually over time, you'll see the viewership do something like this. Let's pretend like this was 365 days. You'll see this gradual decline. It can be really easy when we're in this stage to feel like, well, what the heck is wrong with me? The same stuff that I was doing previously just simply is not landing with the audience. And most of the time when we're looking at their channel together, I say, actually, you're right. Your content simply isn't as valuable as it was previously to your audience. Now, this can happen because your audience just simply grew up and your content just isn't relating with the younger audience that it previously did, or it can happen because you unconsciously kind of lost the reason why much of your audience was there in the first place. Now, either of those reasons can happen almost imperceptibly, which is why most of the time a dead or a dying channel looks like this gradual decline over a long period of time. So knowing this, what the heck do we even do about this? Here is the simplest way I have found to think about this. If your viewership is going down or your channel is stagnant, those viewers are going somewhere. It only stands to reason that if they're not watching your stuff, they're probably watching somebody else's stuff. So the big question to be answering here is this: where are they going, and what is better about that new location than your location, than your channel, than your content? You might have heard it talked about that the great commodity on YouTube is attention. I have absolutely seen that to be the case, but I look at it differently than perhaps many do. Many might say, hey, if the attention is going somewhere else, if this is where you are right now, and let's say somebody else has the attention over here, well, doesn't it mean that we just want to go over there where the new attention is? You and I, we could. However, in the long term, I have seen time and time again, creators do this path where they say, well, I'm just going to move whatever I'm doing over here and make it where the new attention is. But then along the way, they start to feel kind of like they've lost themselves. Have you perhaps experienced that yourself? I know if you have felt that or you are experiencing that, you're definitely not alone, and it's part of this whole attention trap that I have seen. So if we're asking ourselves this question of where the heck is the audience going, we can go into our analytics. You go under audience and look at other videos or other channels that your audience is watching. That will give you a pretty good indicator of where they're going so that you can then go to those channels and watch their content, consume their content, and say, hey, what's different about what they're doing versus what I'm doing? But once you've done that, here is where I think a bit differently, because instead of just moving your content directly over here and saying, hey, I'm just going to now make this content, I think instead both of us can coexist. But if they've got something that is working really well for the audience, why don't I just add a bit of it or adapt my content so that it is better fitting for where the audience is going? All of this over here is still my content, it's still my personality, I'm still being true to myself, but I've just added a bit more of the language and the delivery and the value that the audience has been finding elsewhere. I hope the simplicity of what I just shared with you doesn't get in the way of letting it actually sink in how effective that can be for reviving your YouTube channel. They're also probably not asking their audiences to boop the like button in their videos. And as you and I know, that is an extremely effective way to get people to enjoy your videos, by booping the like button on the videos, indirectly asking for that. Never gets old. One of the things that I found to be of value to myself as I make videos is to make myself laugh while I'm recording the video. If the video isn't enjoyable for me to make, you can bet that that's coming through to my audience, and I just never want that to be the case. So thanks for having fun with me on that. Let's move to the next concept. Another big reason I observe clients and others' channels going stagnant is simply because the time it takes to go from, hey, we have, woo, this is an exciting idea, I want to make this video, to this is a final product that is being published on the channel, it's just simply taking too long. If you have a lack of results on your channel, sometimes all you need is more content, more fishing lines in the water with more possibilities to catch a fish or more possibilities for a video to explode. So how do we spot this particular issue for your content or your channel? A, if you're getting a big backlog of video ideas that aren't being published, or B, if I were to come to you and say, hey, so your channel is being stagnant, you're publishing once a week right now, could you publish twice a week? And if the answer is no, Nate, that's literally impossible, barring life circumstances, I get it. If the answer is no, I'm taking a lot of time on my current content and it's still not exploding, I'm gonna come back and say, maybe we need to find ways to reduce the amount of time that it takes to produce a video right now. So how do we do that? Roughly, to make a video, these are the steps that we need. I like to think of it in terms of ingredients. What does it take to actually produce a final video for my channel? Roughly, it can be broken down into ideation, planning, recording, editing and producing thumbnail, and then publishing and community interaction and fostering. So when we're looking at this, we can methodically go through and say, for ideation, how do I make this more efficient? For planning, how do I make this more efficient? But a big stopping point, and I know many people watching this also struggle with this because I have asked in my community more than once, is editing. One of the biggest reasons being editing for me is not one of the most enjoyable steps. I know many people love it, but for myself, it just was not a fit. But along my quest of reducing the amount of editing time I needed to take, I found something. It's been my secret weapon I've been using for, the past year. Never mentioned it publicly, but I figured it was time to tell you what I've been doing. Allow me to introduce you to this, a tool called Gling. Let me show you a video I've been editing as an example. First, I'll import a video and then it will ask me, hey, what do you want to do with this video? Do you want to cut silences? Do you want to remove bad takes? That one's big for me because I repeat myself a lot when I'm recording. And then once you've inputted, look at what you get. You get the ability to edit a video via text. Now look at how many times I say howdy howdy everyone. And what Gling did is it uses AI to identify the bad takes and it automatically cut out those and kept this one. In editing terms, that's 30 seconds. I would have had to have listened to each of these takes and then selected the best one that it just saved me. So what I'm able to do is instead of in my editing program via waveforms and audio, I can instead go over here and say, actually, I want this take instead. Let's uncut that one and recut that one. Boom, now I have this one. It was a single click. And because primarily Gling is letting me edit off of a transcription, I can instead edit off of my reading, which for me is much faster than just listening to it. So let's undo that because I actually want to keep that take. Now, in addition to that, I can set the pace so it will auto cut out silences in my footage. So right now it's taking out half-second silences, but I can adjust this and say, actually, I want to take out every 0.1 silence, or if I want it slower paced, only everything that's 1.5 seconds of silence or longer. Now here on my channel, I talk about pacing a lot, and many times the difference between an interesting video and a sort of boring video is the pacing on the video. Look at this, the footage on this video is almost 45 minutes long. After running it through Gling, I was output 14.5 minutes of good footage. So heck yes, I am recommending that you use Gling, and also, you know me, I got you a deal because I spoke with Sefi, the founder. Him and I spoke a while back when I first started using it, and I said, hey, Sefi, I'm gonna use this for a while. I'm gonna see if it's actually useful to me, and then I'm gonna talk about it. And it was time to actually talk about it, which is what you're seeing right now. Look at each of these segments: ideas, planning, recording, editing, and posting or interacting with the community. Are there ways that I can make it take less time so I can iterate more quickly? And as I so gratuitously mentioned, I highly recommend Gling as the tool to help make your editing much more efficient. The pricing on it is insane, especially if you get the annual plan. I don't want to say exactly what it is because it might change in the future. Right now, as of recording this, the annual plan plus the deal I got you from Cephii it's an insane value. If all it did is save you half an hour or an hour of editing per video, it would pay for itself very quickly. So you know, I put the deal and all of that in the pinned comment on this video. Let us move on to the next concept here. The third big issue I've observed that you might be running into is over time, if your channel is stagnant or it is dead or dying, there's a strong possibility that your ideas or the delivery of the ideas for your videos simply aren't interesting enough. Now, how do you spot this? If you're publishing videos again and again and again, and you're never getting those pop videos, the ones that go above the average on your channel, if none of them are going above and you're just publishing to basically crickets, like nothing for a long period of time, it is almost certain that the concepts that you're choosing and the packaging, how you're packaging those ideas for your videos, is not interesting. It's not interesting enough to attract an audience. What if your execution on your ideas just isn't good? Like they click on the video, they start watching, and it's just not that good. How do you know if that's off? Usually what you'll see is, let's say this video pops. If your average is 1,000 views per video, this video might get 5,000 views, but then the very next video published goes right back to 1,000 or even 800 views. Like if a video pops and gets a higher than average amount of views for your channel, and then the following videos go right back or they drop lower, most of the time it's because whatever was delivered in the video that popped isn't being delivered in the following videos. So a good thought exercise to fix that would be to look at this video that popped and say, hey, okay, that one spread more. What was different about that one versus the other videos on my channel? Was it topic? Was it, I did my intro extra good? Were there more visuals on screen? Was my energy better in that video? There's any number of reasons that could be causing that difference, but it will be valuable to analyze that with yourself and say, okay, I'm seeing some patterns here. I'm gonna try that in another, let's say I try that again in a future video. And if the following video, this one right here, also retains some of the viewership from that video, you'll know you're solving this interest issue. In addition to that, for ideas, I developed a predictable method for basically ranking your video ideas to know should I publish this or not. It's in a very old janky video, seriously, especially the video, it's super janky, just look at it. But the concept is exceptionally good, it's very memorable, I created a template for it and everything. Maybe I'll update that video in the future, but for now I'm gonna say it's a janky video that's still worth watching. For video delivery, meaning the content of the video, once they arrive at the video itself, I'd be looking at two things: value and consumability. For value, I want you to be, wow, Bling, where are you when I need you? Fix that, please. How valuable is this to my target audience? And looking to increase the value of each video I publish over and over. Just keep increasing the value. For consumability, same question. How consumable, how enjoyable is this video for my audience to experience? Doesn't matter what topic or niche I'm in, how enjoyable is it? I could be doing the most boring accounting topic in the world. No shade on accountants, by the way. But I could be doing the most boring topic in the world and I can still make it more consumable. So I'm looking to iterate and say, how do I make it more and more and more consumable? And next I'd be saying, first, go get Gling and start using it because it's going to save you a freaking ton of time. But also, here is that idea video that I mentioned. This is the video that you should be watching next.